Thank you very much for joining. We'll be talking about SAFe with the version 5.0. We'll talk about some of the roles. We'll look at some of the competencies that we have in SAFe, and we'll see how it actually adds value in the value delivery for your organization. It adds value to your role, and how do you use the overall framework to build that competency in your organization in the roles that you run. A quick intro about me. Humayun Zamir Qureshi. I've been in the industry for about 25 years. I started as a programmer, moved on to infrastructure, been doing project management for about 20 years. Did my PMP back in 2006, and I've been in Agile for about 10 to 12 years. I am SPC 5.0, and of course I am PMP. I hold academic degrees in project management as well, just not certifications. The presentation deck that I'm using today to present to you guys, it is copyrighted by SAFe, and just wanted to bring that up, that all the content is being used with the permission from Scaled Agile, and it's used as a SAFe toolkit, which is authorized to be delivered by SPCs. Since I am one, so I'm authorized to deliver this. Let's start talking about the software delivery. Those who master large-scale software delivery will define the economic landscape of the 21st century. Building softwares has been there in the industry for many, many, many decades. However, when it comes to building large-scale software, that is where the challenge comes in. It is realized that the technology or the technical knowledge in the organization is vast. Everyone knows what they want to do, how it should be done, and they have good knowledge in that. However, a framework helps that knowledge to create that discipline and deliver the value that needs to be delivered to be able to delight your customer, to make sure that you get the satisfaction. You need to run on a certain discipline, and SAFe, being one of the most famous framework, helps you build that discipline, helps you build that understanding in the overall organization. If you see software market, the way the software delivery has started working, BMW Group CEO expects that their future, more than half of its R&D staff will be software developers. Amazon is the largest producer, or is the one who produces the value when it comes to cross-platform selling. Apple, the biggest watchmaker, according to Investopedia 2019, Apple is the biggest watchmaker now. No other watch brand. And all of this is happening with how the technology has evolved, how the innovation has come in. How do you actually create that discipline in the organization? How do you work that out? When a business starts, generally what happens, you are completely customer centric. You have a small network of people, those who build value and deliver that value to the customer. They innovate, they work towards the satisfaction of the customer. They do whatever it takes to make sure that the value delivery to the customer is on the top priority. Later on, with the organization, when it grows, we get a hierarchy. And that hierarchy is required to create the discipline, to create the efficiency and the stability in the organization. Now, what happens that with the organizational processes and the hierarchy, at times, customer value starts suffering. Anything that needs to be done needs to go through a complete approval process from top down, and that can at times create issues for the customer. So the solution is not that we throw away the whole hierarchical process, the whole hierarchy, which is actually required to create that efficiency and stability. We cannot take that away. We do need hierarchy. And the solution that SAFe offers is the need for a dual operating system, which means we start with the value stream network, which provides a customer-centric value, which uses the tools, which uses the framework, which uses the discipline to build a valuable solution for the customer. But we have a functional hierarchy to be able to create that stability and efficiency that is required. You have your value stream network, which is your virtual team, which is fully concentrating on the customer centricity and the delivery of the value. Now, the Scaled Agile framework provides a big picture of how we can utilize the different roles in the organization, how can we work on different processes. So let me switch this to our actual big picture, which is scaledagileFramework.com. When you go there, you can see this big picture, which has 4 configurations in it. So let's start with a quick introduction of essential SAFe, and then we'll move on to I'll give you some information on the other 3 as well. The customer is at the center of every requirement. It's the center of all the business needs. Customer is the boss. They are the one, those who define the requirement. They are the one, those who define how the value is going to be appreciated. Customers' needs are looked at by the business owners, and they are brought into the vision and the roadmap of your organization with the product management team. Product management team works with the architectural team and the engineering team and figures out how the overall delivery of that value can be planned. They define features which go into a backlog, and then these features are then prioritized. These features are worked on by the teams, which are called agile team. And agile teams have 2 specialized roles called Scrum Master and Product Owner. Scrum Master is the servant leader which facilitates the development of the requirements, the features that we have. Product Owner is the one who defines and provides all the details and information required to develop that requirement, and the agile team, in combination of the Scrum Master and the Product Owner, delivers that value. These things happen on team level, where there could be multiple teams, those are working on a specific feature. And then we have a program level plan, which talks about, or which covers the overall priority for all the features that you have that is part of the need of the customer. We have different team roles when we specifically talk about essential configuration, which is the minimum required configuration for an enterprise to say that we are running a safe or scaled agile for enterprises. We have agile teams, which has developers, quality assurance, and different business roles. We have Scrum Master, which is the facilitator, servant leader, product owner, who is the content authority for any work that the team is performing. Then we have the program level roles, where we have the product manager, the product management team, which works along with the product owners and define the vision and the roadmap. RTE is the release train engineer, which is responsible for the whole program and the facilitation for the whole program, which is the agile release train. RTE is also considered as the chief scrum master. The team defines a program of 8 to 12 weeks, and they decide what would be the objectives. These 8 to 12 weeks are called a program increment. The PI objectives, or the program increment objectives, are defined for the whole program, which are then completed by the teams in 2 to 4 weeks iteration, 2 weeks being the preferred and the most common model, in which we define features, in which we develop stories, and we develop enablers, which are dependencies that a feature or a story might have. The whole process goes through a DevOps cycle, which is the continuous delivery pipeline, where you continuously look at new options, you evaluate new ideas from continuous exploration cycle. Then you integrate, where you build and test, you deploy it, you monitor it, and you release it to your end user. So this is a very quick overview of the essential framework or essential configuration. If we talk about a program or a set of features which can be completed in one program under one agile release train, essential is probably what your organization would go for. In case if you have a environment in which you have multiple agile release trains that you are running, and you have a value stream, just a quick example, a value stream could be the production suite from productivity suite from Microsoft, and Microsoft Office could be one of the solution train, where we combine multiple features and build capabilities, and there could be multiple trains for Word, Excel, PowerPoint. If we go a level higher, then we might have a portfolio team which works on multiple value streams. So there could be a productivity suite, and there could be a security suite, there could be enterprise operating system suite, and then that might have multiple solution trains. This brings in a couple of more roles, which is the solution management team, which looks at the holistic view for the whole solution. Then we have the STE, which is the solution train engineer, the same way we have release train engineer. And then we have solution architects and engineering team. On portfolio level, we have the enterprise architect, the team who has the complete understanding of what value can be delivered with the limitations that we have, the technical limitations or the organizational limitations that we have. The whole framework revolves around 7 competencies, which has the execution methods, and the organizational strategy, and it is led by the leadership of the organization. So this was a very quick overview of the scaled agile framework. So now let's go back to our presentation deck. And this was the big picture that we were talking about. Uh, Business agility is required so we can develop different business solutions. Those business solutions are digitalized, and we use software applications to make sure that we bring in the value for what the customer is looking at, what the business solution demands. We design software application. Sorry, I am going to put everyone on mute. Anyone who is involved in the whole process needs to adapt lean and agile practices in order to provide the value. The world leading framework for business agility. What is why SAFe? So SAFe for lean enterprise is a knowledge base of proven integrated principles, practices, and competencies for achieving business agility by implementing lean, agile, and DevOps at scale. These principles and practices are actually used and they have been implemented in hundreds of organizations. These principles are proven, these competencies are proven to deliver the business agility and deliver the value as per the market trend, as per the market demand, as per the industry needs. That is why we say SAFe is actually the leading framework. These are proven numbers, and these case studies can be reviewed from scaledagile.com/case studies, where we have seen improved time to market 50% faster based on these statistics. Due to the engagement, the framework creates engagement between the teams within the organization, engagement with the product management team and the customer and the business owners. The complete alignment for the value that needs to be delivered creates 30% happier and more motivated employees. Productivity is increased at a level of 35% is what we have seen on an average. And with all these excellent framework and practices, focusing on quality, focusing on alignment, focusing on transparency, the quality improves majorly, providing a 50% reduction in defects. These are some examples. These are some companies. Those are actually using the Scaled Agile framework. So let's quickly talk about some of the competencies. As I was saying, everything we do is around the need of the customer. So customer is at the center. The lean agile leadership is the one which drives the execution and the strategy. So whatever we see on the left-hand side, these are the execution methods. These are the execution competencies, which is team and technical agility, agile product delivery, enterprise solution on a large scale level, And we defined strategies in the organization to manage the portfolio, how your organization is agile based on the market demand, and how do you promote continuous learning culture in the organization. So you innovate, so you make things better, and you improve. So lean agile leadership is required. So the whole framework, the way it works out is we have the leaders, those who are convinced that this is the way we go forward. Instead of having fixed mindset, they have the growth mindset. They are ready to evaluate options. They are ready to see improvement. They lead by example. A very important requirement for the leadership team is to lead by example. They are the one, those who lead the change. They are the one, those who actually adapt the principles and the mindset to lead the change in the organization. They exhibit the mindset, the awareness and openness to change. They are ready to change for the betterment of the organization, for the value delivery. Leadership team works with the four core pillars of respect for people and culture. The, this is the pillar which talks about making sure that we provide that respect. We respect the people, those who are actually doing the work. We address their needs and we value their contribution. We improve our flow by keeping it lean, by removing the waste, by ensuring that we are able to produce value. We are able to reduce the lead time in order to bring a better flow. Keep the innovation on top priority, giving the teams enough space or creating a safe environment for them to take calculated risks and innovate, bring in innovative ideas, and focus on relentless improvement. By improving each and every process in the organization, the leadership team promotes these four pillars to make sure that a value is delivered in the shortest sustainable time to your customer. Value delivery is the core focus of the whole framework. The Agile Manifesto. This is another important point where the leadership needs to embrace these principles. There are 12 Agile Manifesto principles. These are the core four values that can be driven from those 12 principles. The leadership team needs to live by these values. Individual and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to the change over following a plan. We have 10 principles in SAFE that we call we live by when it comes to running a safe, lean, agile environment, which talks about many different things. It talks about how we should decentralize decision making, how we should utilize system thinking, how do we build incrementally with fast integrated learning cycles, how do we work on reduced batch sizes. Team and technical agility, another competency that we talked about, how the overall agile release train works, the how the whole program delivers the value, how different teams, agile teams, contribute into the overall program. How do we make sure that we build our solutions with the quality component? What are the quality practices? How do we use pair programming? How do we use BDD, TDD, test-driven development, behavior-driven development? How do we look at different personas? We build teams. Those are cross platform teams. Those are able to define, build, test, and deploy. The program is built around competencies where the whole train has the capability of being able to deliver the value, to be able to evaluate the requirements, implement it, test it, release it to the end user. Focus on customer centricity and design thinking when we are looking at product delivery. How do we continuously provide value to the customers? How do we build on cadence? How do we deploy? How do we release on demand? These are the competencies which explain how we can bring all these values into the organization. We discover, we define, we look at what is the customer's problem. After we have understood that, we create a solution which is viable, which is feasible, which is desirable by the customer, and we can sustain the overall value. Not jumping into solution, but designing the right solution for the customer. Using DevOps practices to make sure that we are continuously delivering value. We define, we build, we test, we deploy on a continuous form. We use the CI/CD, we use continuous delivery pipeline, and we release on demand as, or it could be your based on your marketing strategy, or it could be based on the need from the customer. Agile release train generally holds about 5 to 12 agile teams. The whole train is synchronized on a common cadence and a common vision. The alignment is extremely required. It's extremely important. Enterprise solution delivery. How do you run multiple programs to provide a solution to the customer? What are the practices that you need to adopt? Scaled Agile framework promotes that on large solution level. It builds that competency in the team members and in the organization. Using multiple features, we define capabilities. We run the vision and the roadmap based on the solution train. Solution train defines how you are going to run multiple programs under it. The complete strategy of your portfolio management. How do you invest and how do you fund your strategies? How do you make sure that you are keeping the overall governance lean? How do you use the Agile Project Management Office? How do you create a center of excellence We make sure that the value streams, those are defined for the portfolio in the organization. They run with certain budget. Those are guarded by objectives. Those are guarded by matrix, creating a guardrail to make sure that we are investing the right amount in the right value stream. Instead of funding projects, we fund products. Organizational agility, making sure that we are able to strategize based on the market demand. We are able to pivot whenever there is a new challenge. We are able to use our SWOT analysis, our strengths, the opportunities we have, our weaknesses. How do we evaluate the threats that we have from market, and how do we pivot? How do we make sure that our organization is agile? We respond to opportunities and threats quickly. We ignore the sunken cost. If we have invested on something which is not adding value, how do we pivot without mercy or guilt? How do we move forward? These are the competencies. Those are built with the help of the overall agile, scaled agile framework. SAFe promotes these competencies, and it injects this understanding in the organization, not just on the organization level, even with each and every role. In next few slides, we are going to look at what could be the strategy of implementing this. The last competency that I want to talk about is the continuous learning culture, which is extremely important for every organization. If the organization does not innovate, if they do not promote learning in their organization, they will not be able to sustain in the market for a very long time. SAFe provides a complete implementation roadmap. It guides what are the ways, what are different steps that we should take in our organization in order to implement the best practices and reap the benefit of the results that are mostly seen by using these scaled agile practices. There are many different trainings that the framework that Scaled Agile offers to help you build that competency. If we look at the SA training, which is the SAFe Agilist, leading SAFe, it is recommended for the executive management or the leaders in your organization. RTE is a role which is responsible for the agile release train or the solution train. So there are certain trainings for it. We have advanced Scrum Master and Scrum Master trainings for the role of Scrum Master. We have for governments, for non-profit organizations, we have specific training. We have training for teams, for software developers, which is called SAFe for Teams or SAFe Practitioner training. There are dedicated trainings for the software engineers, for testers. The overall DevOps cycle, how the whole DevOps process works, there are trainings specific for DevOps practices, recommended for managers, for architects, for QA testers, for agile teams. Product owner, product management training to understand how do you work on features, how do you decompose those features into stories, how do you manage the value delivery for your customers. APM, Agile Product Management training for the product managers and directors. Architectural training for the solution and enterprise architects. Lean portfolio training for C-level executives and the leaders, those who define the complete organizational strategy. There are more than 500,000 people trained on SAFe over 110 countries. This is a framework which is leading in the overall agile space. This is all what I wanted to cover today for you guys. The value of scaled agile partners like 10 Agile, I wanted to add that there are organizations, those who have the knowledge, they have the skills, but they need the experience, and that is where organizations like 10 Agile come and play the role, where we partner with you and help you transform your organization into a safe practice. Now, I open the floor for questions and answers. Is there anything that I can address for you guys?
Hello, Mayo. Asad here. Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for great presentation. I just want to understand, like I'm a business analyst. Okay, so my natural incline is towards a PO/PM certification
Yeah.
in SAFe. But I want to understand that what is the logical path for BA in SAFe framework, let's say after doing the certification of POPM. So should I go for as a next step go with the Scrum Master certification, or will go with the Agile Leading certification? What do you suggest for the BA role in framework?
So Scrum Master certification would be a good certification for you to create the understanding of the role, the expectations that you have as a product owner from the Scrum Master. If your inclination, if your aspiration is towards moving towards the product and product delivery and how do you develop products, I would say APM would be a very good training for you as the next step after POPM. Or you might want to look into the overall portfolio side of it, which is LPM, Lean Portfolio Management training. Both APM and LPM are 3 days training and goes into the in-depth understanding of the product delivery and how portfolios are developed, how value streams are designed, how do you create the value based on your organizational strategic themes.